Hello and welcome to Naresh IT. Today we have a topic which is very important, and I think everybody thinks this is the major topic when it comes to attending interviews. I think you all agree with me, group discussion. Now many people know this is usually the first topic in soft skills while conducting interviews. They want to check how good a participant is or how good a job seeker is in their communication skills, right? And many of you may have felt that you really don't go beyond group discussions. Now why is that happening? There is definitely something lacking in us, right? So what we do is, here we are trying to discuss what exactly group discussions are and how to go about it and what is considered and how do the interviewers evaluate you in the group discussions. And last but not the least, we talk about the do's and don'ts in group discussion, and finally further tips to improve your group discussion and score better and move on to the next round of interviews. And here many people struggle in group discussions because we are not able to put forward our point, or we feel we don't have much time. By the time we decide to tell, the time is already up. So let's get started. Now what is group discussion? It's a discussion amongst people. So the group can vary between, say, among 5 to 8 or maximum 10, 12 people. Now the number shouldn't matter to you, because if you are ready, then group discussion is not a problem for you at all. Now before we actually go to the topic, I would like to bring your knowledge to these things. This is called the 6 C's of communication. What do we mean by that? We all know we follow these 6 C's, but not in the right capacity. That is why we struggle whenever we get to verbal communication, where we have to communicate more, we have to speak more. It becomes a problem for us. So to reduce that problem, we first look at the 6 C's of communication, and you have to believe me when I say this. If you try to work on these 6 C's of communication, you're really going to perfect your communication. How, you may ask? Now that's very easy. Here we all have this in us, but are we using it rightly or not? That's the question. So when we say communication, what do you mean by communication? It's like we know we have a sender, we have a receiver, and we have a message that has to be sent across. Now is that message really sent across? Now how do you know that? Because the receiver responds to that message. Now if the response is not proper, or if the sender has not sent a proper message and the receiver is not in a position to respond, then can we say communication is happening there? Definitely not, because for communication to be effective and complete, then we need a sender, a receiver, a message and a response. The response has to be in positive, which gives an indication that you have understood or the other person has understood what you want to say. So now here, to perfect your communication, we look at the 6 C's. Now please remember, memorize by heart these 6 C's, because they are going to help you in all forms of communication. When I say all forms of communication, I mean right from your attending interviews to face-to-face interaction, one-to-many interaction, one-to-one interaction, many-to-one interaction, wherever there is communication happening. Not necessarily in English, it can be in any language. So here you can see you have perfected your communication only if you are able to follow these 6 C's of communication effectively. Now let's get to the 6 C's of communication. The first one, you all will agree with me, it's confidence. Now what do you mean by confident? Can I say I'm very confident? So does that make you confident? Definitely not. So when we're talking about confidence, it has to do about the way you talk, how effective it is, and how you're able to impress the others. And then second way of being confident is not the talking, but it's the non-verbal part. It's your body language. So here, by your body language, do you look confident? Now definitely you're not going to say I'm confident and you become confident. To show your confidence, the different body languages that you use is your eye contact. Now for example, if I am doing this video and say, okay, I am going to give you a brief of the 6 C's of communication. Now am I maintaining eye contact here? Definitely not. What is the impression that I'm creating? Here it means that, okay, this person doesn't maintain eye contact but speaking whatever she has to. Definitely that shows lack of confidence in me. So to show that you're confident, you have to maintain eye contact with the listener or the person whom you are communicating with. Now here again, eye contact doesn't mean you have to stare at that person and make them feel conscious of themselves. Okay, look, why is that person looking at me? So that is very important. Now one more way of showing confidence is what? It's your voice quality. Now if you have to say something, there's a large audience in front of you and you're saying, I am going to give. Now is this the right way to communicate, or is this a good audibility? No, definitely not, because again that creates an impression that the person is low in confidence. That is why the person is not able to speak loudly and is not audible. So here audibility is very important. Now if audibility is important, that doesn't mean you say, I am going to give a presentation. Definitely you cannot shout like that. So here you have to modulate your voice. That again depends on the strength, on the number that is listening to you. If there are many people, then you have to increase it, and if there are few, you have to decrease it, right? One more way of showing your confidence is what? I call it like, the $1 million smile. So here you need a smile to show that you're confident. Now you cannot show your teeth and yes, I'm very confident. You cannot do that, because what happens that way is it shows that you're using your smile unnecessarily. Now when I say smile, it means smile at the right time for the right reason. Now for example, you'll say, okay, Muniba told me to show my confidence I have to smile. So you're giving breaking news, like our Prime Minister died yesterday. So is that the right way to do it? Definitely not. You'll say you're sharing such bad news. How can you say with that with a smile on your face? So definitely the smile shows that you're confident, and it has to be used at the right time for the right reason. So if I say like I am going to give a session on communication skills, that looks very serious. So you cannot have a serious face. So where required, have a smile on your face. Okay, and that's why I call it the $1 million smile. Okay, let's move on to the next one, clarity. What do you mean by clarity? Okay, you have to give a speech, say in front of 100 people. Okay, you speak very good English, all right, and you have all the content before you, but you're so fast, people cannot understand what you are saying. So can you say that you're having clarity? Definitely not. So here, when we say clarity, we talk about two things. Your clarity of thought and clarity of speech. When I say speech, I've already told you the audibility factor. So your speech has to be clear, your pronunciation has to be right, and you have to speak your words openly and clearly so that it's understood. When we say clarity of thought, we mean whatever you're trying to express, you have a clarity of that, because if you have that, you will be in a better position to convey to the others. But if you're not sure what you want to speak about, then definitely you're misguided, and what happens is when there is loss of clarity, then there will be more of repetition. You tend to say something again and again, and you repeat your information, or you show nervousness in your voice. So we have to be clear in our thought as well as our speech. Then the next C of communication is completeness. Now here completeness is very important, because when you want to convey something, and when you're completing your statements, the other person understands that yes, you finished with your information, and now you want something to the other person to respond. Okay. Now for example, I'll give you a very simple example. I'll say I had something for breakfast. Now I'm not making it very clear to you. I'm not telling you the name what I had for breakfast. Okay, I had something for breakfast which was round and it was brown in color. This is the entire information that I give you. Now first of all, am I being clear? No, I'm not. Now am I completing my statement? And I had something more. So do you know what I exactly want to tell you or what I want to talk about? Definitely not. I'm confusing you in a way. So here, if I tell you I had something round and brown, you will guess like, okay, Muniba had puri for breakfast, or she had vada for breakfast, or she had a dosa for breakfast. Now I'm not completing my statement. I'm not giving you that clarity. So you will not know what I exactly had for breakfast. Now you'll keep guessing. Now even a wild guess can be, you'll say I had a sandwich which was made of brown bread and which was round in shape. Now that could be a wild guess, but definitely not. So here I'm just trying to say, okay fine, I had a vada for breakfast. So why not make it complete and without letting the other person keep guessing what you want to say. So here completeness of information is very important. Then the next one is correctness. Now, what do we mean by correctness? Here I'm not saying like, you should never lie. I'm not professing that. But here what I'm trying to say is, whatever information you share, especially when it goes to interviews or group discussions, you cannot give facts which you are not sure about and which you assume that the other person would not be sure about. So what happens is, like for example, if you say in a group discussion you're giving information like 50% of the people are below poverty line. Now if somebody else in the group knows like it's not 50%, it's 35%. So here you would be misinterpreted because people will create a wrong impression about you, saying that this person doesn't give correct facts or this person is lying. So here unnecessarily, when you're talking of facts or figures, if you're not sure about something, always say like I think majority of the people are below poverty line. That is a better way to say than saying 50% are below poverty line. So do not talk about numbers which are incorrect and try to make other people believe that you're giving correct information there, which is a very wrong thing to do. Next one is keeping it concise. Now we all know people like to speak a lot. Some people like to talk a lot, express more, and they take all the time. Now is it a right thing to do? It depends. Now if that's something like where you have to give a lot of information, then yes, you have to speak. But giving information where it's not required, at that time you have to be more careful. For example, now you take part in a group discussion, right? Now there are 10 members in that group. Now if you take all the time, if you give all the information and you're not giving a chance to the others in the group, is it the right thing that you're doing? No, you're not, because here you're not talking about, you're not concerned about the team's requirement or that you have to give a chance to everybody. So here what happens is, usually when you have clarity, you'll be concise in your information because you know what you want to say and you will limit your information. Like I'll give you one more example. For example, an interviewer asks you, did you have your breakfast in the morning? Now what should the answer be? Definitely you'll say, okay, yes I had, or no I didn't have. But if you say yes I had breakfast from that restaurant, I had idli for breakfast, it was very soft and it didn't cost me much. Now is that information required? Of course not. So here when I mean concise information, that means if required, be elaborate. Otherwise you should see to it that your information should be concise. So we all hear this word every time, like short and sweet. So people love that, and why not use that? Okay. Last one, though it's last in the order, but don't think like it's not important. Courtesy. What do you mean by courtesy? Now we all can speak. Okay. Now we treat other people like that's what we do. We on a day-to-day basis we communicate with a lot of people. So here, for example, if I find somebody and I don't wish them, or if like it's my general courtesy, that's mannerism which I'm not using, or if I have to say something, if I have to ask the clerk to bring something for me, say, hey, please bring that. Can I do that? No, that's definitely not courteous. So here you have to be assertive, but that doesn't mean you have to be aggressive in your tone. So your tone should be in such a way that you're very humble and sounds very courteous, and people will think that you're not being rude, but being very courteous. That is very important, and believe me, many of us overlook this fact. I'll give you a very simple example. It's like you go for an interview, you have to enter the interviewer's cabin. So what we usually do is we knock at the door and we ask for permission, right? So what happens is we knock, and what do we usually do? We say, may I come in? But if you realize, half the time we are already in. So what's the point in asking permission there? So this is all about being courteous. Like using your humble words like thank you, sorry, and yes please. These are very important and they convey a bigger meaning. They convey a lot about you as a person. So here when I say these 6 C's of communication are very important and it helps you in effective communication, how can you think of that? Because here all these are interdependent, because if you are not confident, you will not have clarity. You will not complete your statements. You will sometimes not give correct statements, and then you'll not keep it short. Definitely not, because you'll keep on extending the information and elaborating it, and you won't be courteous. You'll be very aggressive. Now the most important thing here is to check your level of these 6 C's. How are you going to do that? For example, you went for an interview today. So you have to analyze your performance. So what you do is, you have to talk about, okay, I finished my interview today. Now you want to analyze your performance, saying, how did my interview go? Now, was I confident? Okay, for example, if you say, yes, I was confident. How can you say you were confident? You say, okay, fine. Was I audible enough? Yes, okay, that shows I was confident. Was I nervous? Did my body language show that I was nervous? Was I moving a lot? Was I moving my hands a lot? Was I looking down? No, I was not. Then definitely that you're counting for your confidence. And was I keeping a smile on my face, or did I look very serious? No, then that means you were confident. So the same way, you look for all the C's, like, clarity. Was I clear? Whatever I wanted to say, did I have that clarity in my mind? And was my speech clear? How do you know whether your speech was clear? Usually what happens when we are not clear, people ask us to repeat something, or they ask us something again. That is an indication that they did not get clearly what we wanted to say. So again, you can check yourself. Was the interview asking me to repeat my answers? Or like, was there low audibility? Wasn't audible, and was the interview asking me to increase my tone? Completeness. Was I completing my statement, or the interviewer was looking at me as if I have to say something further? Okay. So when you check all these 6 C's of communication for your performance, then you'll know, okay, fine. I was confident, the clarity was there, but I wasn't completing my statements. I was giving correct information, but I wasn't keeping it concise, and then I was courteous. Now here what you know is, of the 6 C's, 1, 2, 3, 4, you've done well, but 2 of them you have to work on. So when we talk about completeness, now next time when I go, how am I going to work on this? So like, I have to, because here you have to be focused and conscious of yourself, whatever you're doing. So it's not that you do it and later you realize that I did it. So overall, whenever you are communicating, you have to be conscious of your own self, that yes, I'm doing this right, or I'm doing that wrong. It's not such a big thing to do, believe me. You just have to keep a check on yourself. And then after you do that, then that doesn't mean you don't have to work on your confidence in other 6 C's where you're good. You have to work on all these, because here you cannot say my confidence is perfect or my clarity is perfect. You keep on improving, because nobody is perfect. So by each and every way that you communicate, or every time you communicate, you're improving your 6 C's. So that is what you need to work on. And again, as I already said, this is really going to help you crack your GDs, crack your interviews, or any form of communication that you do. Now next, what we're going to talk about is actually the group discussion, and on what basis are you assessed? What do the evaluators assess you? Like, what are the parameters? We'll talk to you about that. We all attend group discussions, okay, and sometimes we make it, sometimes we don't make it, but we really don't know, like, because the result that is given to us is, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 selected, 4, 5, 6 gone, all right. So here we really don't know, like, why I wasn't selected, what was the reason. Those who selected on cloud 9, they're very happy, they know, okay, yes, the reason for my being selected is because I did well. But again, there's a confusion in the minds of those who are not selected, like, you think you did very well, but why didn't they take me? Like, I have done very well, I should be in, I should go on to the next round. Now, as we already know, when we talk about group discussions, why they conduct first is because that's mass elimination. They want to look at your skills, they want to assess your skills, and then they say, okay, fine, this person is good at something that they are looking for, and that is why they take you to the next round. And where they feel something is missing, something is lacking in you, they really don't take you up, okay, but they don't really give you the reason. So now let's find out what are the skills that the judges or the evaluators assess when conducting group discussions. The first one is communication skills, right? We already did that in the previous session, that the 6 C's of communication and what do they look for when you are actually communicating. So you have to definitely work on those 6 C's if you really want to excel in your communication skills. I'm not going to go in that detail. Now let's talk about interpersonal skills. Now when you're having a group discussion, are you having it alone? No, you're having it with a group of people. So here you have to communicate with them. It's not individual discussion, it's a group discussion. So when you talk to others, how well you accept other people's points, how well you are as a team player. That's what they look. Are you a team person? You can interact with others in the team. Can you mingle with others? Can you openly talk to them? That is what they look for. And why they check your interpersonal skills is because when you get into companies, you're not going to work alone. You're going to work with a lot of people and have interaction with people from different backgrounds. So they want to check, like, can you actually get along with people coming from various backgrounds, and can you really be expressive in front of them or not? Or are you being too reserved and not open, or open to other people, or not opening yourself? So that's why these skills are very important, and they help you actually gel with the company employees and get into the company atmosphere as soon as possible. Next is listening skills. Now believe me, many people do not possess this, because it's very annoying when you have to say something again and again because you don't listen carefully, and you say, can you repeat, pardon me, excuse me, which is not right. Now here it's a fact. I don't know how many of you know this. Good listeners are good speakers. So if you have the ability to listen to somebody, then you can definitely speak well. All right. So here, how can you show your listening skills? Now here you have to listen, again, actively, not passively. It's not what you want to listen, but it's what people are saying that you have to listen. So here, when you're a good listener, you will listen to what others are saying, and you will analyze what is being said. And you will not be actually opinionated that, okay, I don't know, I think it's this. So here you have to be very open to listening to people and understanding their viewpoint. Next is your leadership and decision making skills. Now leadership skills, because you are initiating the group discussion, or you're taking the initiative to start the group discussion, or you are talking about something like, a relevant point which is completely new, which nobody else has spoken. So that's why they're looking for your decision leadership skills. Now what about decision making skills? Now decision is, they give you a topic, right? For example, effects of social media, good or bad. Now if you have to make a choice, now if you've chosen good, why? If you've chosen bad, why? So here they'll try to analyze your decision making skills, like, how good are you in taking decisions or making decisions, and which is really effective or not, or are you just going with the flow by what everybody is saying, you're trying to say that, and you don't have a mind of your own. Next one is analytical skills and your subject knowledge. Now what happens when they give a group discussion, usually the topics are recurring, like they ask those topics in all forms, everywhere where group discussions are conducted. So what happens is, when they give you a topic, they want to see how well or how aware you are about that topic. So here some people will not have knowledge at all, they will not speak about it at all, or what happens is, they know the subject very well, they know what they have to talk about, and they are giving good information, they're sharing good information, which is completely like, it's like mind blowing, it's very effective. People will think, how can you really talk about something like this? So here it means like, you're really well informed, you have understood the topic that has been allotted to you, and you're able to do justice by, like, analyzing the topic and having good subject knowledge and delivering your information. And the next is problem solving and critical thinking skills. Now here what happens is, usually if you notice in group discussions, people do not stay to their viewpoint, or they do not stick to the topic given. So it keeps wavering. So here it's like, do you realize that, and you make the group aware that no, we actually need to stick to the topic, and that has not been given to us. And again, like, you really think about issues critically, or you're just randomly giving information, or are you really serious about the information that you're providing? So these are the skills that the evaluators judge you in group discussions, and based on your knowledge or based on your capabilities, they either select you or they reject you. So again, now the choice is all yours. Do you really want to be judged properly, and do you want to excel in these skills, or you just want to go for any GD as it is, okay, I'll go, I'll see my luck? No, it's not about luck, it's about your performance. And if you go prepared, then you definitely can see yourself being selected for the next round. And please work on these, and I see no reason why you would be rejected. So now after this, I'm going to talk about the do's and don'ts in group discussions. Usually what should be avoided and what should actually be done to make it effective and for you to get selected in group discussions. Now we are going to talk about the do's and don'ts of group discussion, which you have to really critically analyze this, because if you work on these, definitely you're going to do wonders in your group discussion. Keep an eye contact while speaking. Now if you noticed, when we are taking part in group discussions, I've personally noticed the participants, they maintain eye contact with the evaluators. Now is that the right thing to do? What do you think? No, definitely not, because here it's the discussion amongst the group. It's not with the evaluators that you're discussing, but they're going to keep a check on you. Now here you have different arrangements, like if you have attended group discussions before, you'll know, you either sit in a semicircle, or you sit in a full circle, or you sit in a row where the evaluators are in front of you. If the evaluators are in front of you, you can definitely maintain eye contact with them. But if the discussion is happening amongst the group members, maintain eye contact with the group members. Now in circle or semicircle position, you are going to remember that the eye contact is not going to be with the evaluator, but with your group members, and that is very important. Now eye contact not just with one member of the group, but all the members. But in case if there's somebody who said something and you want to actually validate that point or talk further about that point, at that time you can have a contact with that particular participant, but otherwise it has to be maintained with all the group members. The next one is initiating the discussion. Now there are two things that I would like to tell you about this. Many of us feel if we are the first to start the discussion, that means we are definitely going to the next round. No, that's a misconception. Yeah, you definitely earn points for that, that's a big plus for you, but here you have to realize when you initiate, the only time that you'll initiate is you're sure about the topic or you have good subject knowledge and you think you are confident enough to initiate the discussion. But if you feel like you are lacking in some information or you do not have that confidence to initiate the group discussion, so please do not take that risk. So let somebody else do it, but that in no ways means that you are not going through to the next round. But here, yes, definitely if you are initiating the discussion, it means you are capable and you are showing that confidence in yourself. Okay. Now allow others to speak. This is one thing noticed a lot in group discussions. What we do is some of the participants are very dominant. They think I know everything, and they do not give a chance to the others to speak. Even though they are struggling, they are trying their hard to say something, but you do not allow that to happen. Now this is not a right thing to do, because here, as I told you, your team playership qualities are assessed. Now if you are not giving, or your interpersonal skills are assessed, if you are not giving a chance to others to speak, then that means you are showing your dominant nature there. You are not really allowing somebody to express, which is not the right thing to do, because what happens is, you have to keep this in mind, it's not an individual discussion, it's a group discussion. So you have to give equal opportunities to all people available. Speak clearly. Now what happens is, way to hurry your viewpoint or finish it quickly, you are not really clear with your thought process. You are not expressing yourself clearly, or you are not audible enough, you are not loud enough, or the energy levels are not there in your tone, because if that's the case, that's going to go be against you. So here, be clear of whatever you want to express, your viewpoint. If it's an example that you want to give, then be clear about that and do not elaborate that, which is again not a right thing to do. Next is quality versus quantity. Now here, why I'm talking about this is because we've noticed many people talking endlessly. There's no time limit for them, even though they know a group discussion would be for 20 minutes or so. So what they do is, they want to speak more, and it's like they speak so fast, they think okay, and they're so happy, I included 5 points, I included 6 points in that. But do you think that's really going to hold value? Of course not, because here it's not about quantity that is being measured here, it's about the quality of your thoughts or the quality of your viewpoint which is considered. So here, even if you say one viewpoint but that holds good quality, that is more effective than something where you go on speaking for 2-3 minutes and where you're not giving a chance to others. So always prefer quality over quantity. Next is Positive attitude. Now here what happens when this is very important, because many of us overlook the fact that our body language is also being assessed here. So it's not just the verbal communication but the non-verbal communication also, which the evaluators look at. Now, as I said, your eye contact and like how you're seating yourself. Are you rocking in the chair? Are you moving front and back? Are you sitting, very erect and, as if there's no movement at all, and where you are not really flexible in your body language, or you're moving your legs a lot, you are spreading your legs in sitting and then looking here and there, you're disoriented, like, I don't know what's happening. They just pushed me and made me sit in this group discussion. So your body language has to be positive, where it should look as if you're really interested in taking part in that group discussion and you want to contribute to that group discussion. And again, like, somebody says something and you really don't agree with their viewpoint. So you critically look at that person, make faces at that person. Now again, that's not the right thing to do. Now there again, your courtesy comes into picture. So here, try to have a body language which is positive and which doesn't create a negative impression about you. A few more do's and don'ts for group discussion are: make sure to bring the discussion on track. Usually, as I said, like, if the group is wavering from the topic, the actual topic that has been given to you, and that usually happens in group discussions. So what you should do is, if you think, because that I told you, those are your problem solving skills, if you feel there's a problem there happening. So here, let your group know that, okay, let's not, waver from the topic, let's come back to the topic, and this is the topic which we have been given to discuss, and let's stick to it. Because that again shows your leadership qualities and your convincing skills, that you're telling the group that yes, we have to stick to it and not waver from something. Okay. Next is dress formally. Now this is very important. Now many of us do not like to dress formally because we think, that gives a very serious look and, an officer kind of look. Yeah, but that is what they're looking for. They want to see that seriousness in you. So here, no funny dressing, no funky dressing, and wear wear something that you're comfortable with. Now when I say comfortable, that doesn't mean you have to go in your jeans or your flip-flops or your sandals. No. Have a formal look where you're going in your formal wear, and because that shows that you are really serious about something and you want others to take you seriously. So dressing formally is again one more important do in group discussions. Next is have a conclusion. Now usually, because there is a time limit given for group discussions, you should see that you should keep check of time, but that doesn't mean you look at your watch all the time. Okay, now I have 5 minutes, now I have 10 minutes. No, don't do that. But here, have a rough idea that it's time to conclude now, and have a conclusion for your group discussion. Because what happens when you watch a movie and you don't have any conclusion? Then you don't have any idea what the end is. So definitely we expect a conclusion for a group discussion. Whether it's positive or negative, that depends on your group members' viewpoints. So if majority are positive, then you can conclude on a positive note. But if it's a neutral conclusion, then you can conclude neutrally. It depends on the group's viewpoint. Listen carefully. Now again, if somebody is listening to you, that means it's your responsibility that you also have to listen to others when they are talking. So please do that. And as I already said, good listeners are good speakers. So you want to speak good, listen good. Okay. Next, practice. Now you'll say, how can I practice group discussions alone? Now I think you all have been living with others. You have group members, or you have 3-4 people in the same age bracket, or in everybody looking for jobs. So why not do that? At least practice it once or twice, so that you do not go in raw there, or you do not go in unprepared, and definitely how to go about in a group discussion, and you don't take in nervousness with you. So practice definitely makes you perfect. Understand the topic. Now this is one confusion, because they give you a topic but you don't understand it, and you talk about something, it's like unsensible, like insensible. You do not know what to say, and you're saying anything or everything that's coming to your mind, which is completely unrelated to the topic. So when they give you a topic, you have time, please understand the topic, what do you think they want you to speak about, and then go about it. Next is quick notes. Now this is very important. Many of us do carry papers or pens with us, but we really do not make use of it. What happens is, when they give you a topic, they don't start the discussion immediately. They give you some time, say 2 to 5 minutes, and some companies don't. But when you have that time, what you do is, make use of your notepad, write the notes what you want to discuss in the group discussion, and see to it you do not follow your viewpoints during the discussion. It's like you can look at it, but when you are speaking, don't look at your notes and do it. That is something which is not acceptable. Next is don't repeat ideas. Now this happens usually when there are say 10 to 12 members in a group discussion. So how many points can you say? Like, everybody even says 1 point, so the points seem to get repeated. So what you can do here is, instead of repeating those points, you can acknowledge somebody's viewpoint and then you can say, I can give a very good example for this. So that would work wonders. So here it would not look as a repetition of point, but it would look like you know how to support that viewpoint and you're giving an example for that. So that's how people relate to it easily. Now, after discussing all these do's and don'ts of group discussion, I would have only one suggestion to make. Please follow these, because if doing group discussions or participating in group discussions is not rocket science. It's very easy. Only thing is you have a particular agenda to follow. If you're doing that and if you're following these guidelines or these strategies, then you're definitely going to crack your GD. So wish you all the best. Thank you.